we're still in primary season, and
We are.
early voting has already gone and began and gone for the primary races. And those reports suggest that there was a slight drop off in in-person voting, but there's also reports that mail-in voting and mail drop balloting has increased. But what was interesting is the most recent poll in the executive race, and that's the one that's, you know, the hot topic here, has Elrich and Blair within 6 points of one another, and the margin of error was 5.5. So is this race tightening as we come to election day on the 19th? Mike, I'll start with you.
It's probably tightening some. I don't think it's as tight as some of the polls have made. I mean, there were 3 polls, and basically they were kind of like Goldilocks and the porridge. There was one, there was a big one, there was a middle one, there was one where it was close. And I think reality is that it's probably close-ish, which it should be. There was a 77 vote margin the last time, and so I expect it will be close-ish. But I haven't seen any indication that shows that it's going to be that it's neck and neck.
You know, I confess that when I looked at the polls, there was a little, unlike the Goldilocks approach, I took a look at, which brand names was I most familiar with, because I saw polls from, frankly, some entities I had never heard of before. And there is a tendency sometimes to put out polls to be able to make a point. I will tell you, while I assumed Mark Elrich was going to win, I will say that the poll that was the best, I was most familiar with the underlying company. I was surprised by how close it was, and it certainly seemed to show a fair amount of momentum for Blair, who obviously has been spending a lot of money and out campaigning. So perhaps we're in for a surprise.
Well, there's still a large number of people who identify themselves as undecided. And those usually mean I've decided, I just don't want to talk about it. So I think we're going to have to wait and see. And of course, the anomaly here is because of the extensive use of mail-in balloting and drop-offs, we're not going to know the outcome of this election probably until 2 or 3 days after, because they don't count the mail-in ballots for 2 days after the 19th. So we're probably looking at Friday of next week. The next time we're on the air to
the other thing that's
chew it up and dissect it.
Yeah, the other thing that's been really interesting to me too is that typically if you're going to take out an incumbent, you have to draw a clear distinction between you and that incumbent. And neither Blair nor Reamer actually did that until about a week and a half ago, which to me seems really late in the game, and maybe it'll move the needle. I just was surprised that nobody kind of did this up until, through the spring and into the early summer, and they finally have. And so, and the gloves have kind of come off. There've been some pretty significant shots. I just don't know if it's too little, too late.
Right. Well, I mean, I share that sentiment because I didn't think Blair was campaigning hard enough throughout the spring. I thought he was rather, submissive on this.